Yep. I was talking to Josh Brooks today, and I wanted to acknowledge the University of Georgia again was recognized for U.S. News and World Report's top public institutions in the country, and the 2025 rankings came out, and once again for the ninth straight year, UGA was in the top 20. Actually moved up 2 spots to 18. That's unbelievable to me that we're blessed to have a university, to be part of a university that is one of the top public institutions in the country and consistently been in the top 20. So we sell that in recruiting hard. It certainly is a great academic institution. We're blessed to be a part of it. So a lot of credit goes to our administration, President Moorhead, our faculty, our students. It's a really cool honor. So I want to recognize them and us for that. And then I'll open it up.
How has practice been so far this week?
It's good. You don't ever have to worry about them on this week. You got to be careful not to leave it all on the practice field. That's probably the biggest thing is holding guys back and making sure that they don't overdo it. But spirited, get after practice, and it's like I said, when you get in these SEC rivalry games, it's not a motivation issue.
Coach, y'all concerned at all about this bad weather that's coming through impacting when you guys are able to go to this week?
Yes, I understand it, and we've been following it and watching it with the SEC office and our in-house people in Delta. It looks like it's trending more and more eastward, which may affect us, but less and less effect towards the game. My biggest concern is the travel and our travel arrangements. Being able to get there in a convenient way is my concern right now.
Yeah, Coach, this week you've talked about how unique of a challenge Jalen Milroe presents and how you haven't really seen a football player like this. How do you go about preparing your defense or simulating a look this week for something like that?
Yeah, if you could simulate this guy, then he would be in the transfer portal somewhere because he would be playing. Like he would be on a team somewhere playing because there is no simulation. I think that's the problem. He can go as fast backwards as he can go forward. I've seen him get out of jams straight ahead, backwards, elite quickness. When you see him in person on the field, he's very thick and very hard to tackle, but yet has a bazooka for an arm. So, there is no simulation. You show pictures and you work really hard on tackling, and we've done that for 2 weeks because when you're tackling him, it's like tackling a back. He's just harder to get on the ground and very elusive. So there's no simulation. There's only pictures and the best job you can.
Yeah, how would you assess how Jared Wilson has done over the season, specifically when it comes to communicating things to both the linemen around him, but also Carson as well?
Yeah, he's done a great job. He's very intelligent. He understands. He did a great job last year. He studied under Stead, Van Pran. He picks things up. Carson does a lot of our communication as well as Jared. They share in it. Carson has the ability to override, but Jared and he are on the same page, so he's done a really good job.
Speaking of Carson, how would you assess his play through 3 games, and just where do you want to continue to see improvement?
I think he's done a better job this year with his legs. He's decided to run on multiple occasions when he's needed to. I'm sure he would say he'd like to have some throws back, but 3 games in last year, he felt the same way. There's some throws he'd like to have back. So I've seen a lot of Carson to know that he's in a good headspace. He's a really good quarterback. Got a lot of confidence in him.
As far as who Carson's throwing to, there isn't the star power there was last year, but you may have more depth there at the receiver and tight end. Do you feel like that's kind of a greater than the sum of its parts situation, or is that or do you disagree that there's not as much star power?
I wouldn't say there's the star power. Mark Bowers is not playing. That's pretty obvious. A second-round pick and a first-round pick are no longer in those roles. I don't know that we have the depth because everybody we have now, we had last year. And they played a different role last year. That all the guys now, their roles have been elevated, and we got a lot of guys that can play moving parts. And we had some additions, Colby and London, and some young guys come along, Ben. But it's a different group. They're a different team every year. We lost something when we lost Darnell. We lost something when we lost Jordan and Devontae. But you replace that and you try to make up for it in every area you can. And that's you got the players you got, and the ones we got, I'm very pleased with. I'm happy with the guys we got. We got to do a good job executing with the ones we have.
Your defense has been good at limiting explosive plays. Why is that, and what's the challenge minimizing that against Bama?
Well, it's extremely challenging against Bama because every play is a ticking time bomb. They've got explosive playmakers in backs, receivers, and then a quarterback that can extend a play from, what against one team might be a 4-second play is now an 8-second play. And when the plays go from 4 to 8, I mean, one of the most explosive plays in all of pro football the last couple of years has been scrambles. Well, there's going to be scrambles. Like, we can't say, well, they didn't prepare for the scramble. Like, there's not a real preparation you can do for that. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. So it's how you manage it, how well disciplined we play down the field with our eyes. So there's a lot of things that go into that. They are an explosive team. We have limited explosives, but when those two usually meet head to head, it can go both ways.
But when you dig down on Kalen DeBoer, it's pretty incredible, his record of success over the years and offenses and that kind of thing. I just wonder, obviously his work has until now been done in another area of the country. But when did you first become aware of him, this guy, Kalen DeBoer, this coach that's putting these things together and winning at the rate he was? And then, how different do they look under his tutelage so far?
Yeah, I didn't really know who he was until probably when Lanning went to Oregon, and I followed Dan a lot, and they had the big rivalry with them. Not really last year, but the year before. I started following Dan, their season. I think that was maybe the year that we had played Dan, and they went on to play Washington, I think, once that year, and then twice the following year. And that's when it started, popping up on my radar because Washington historically was known for great defense way back when, and he changed that. I mean, not that they weren't good on defense; they were good on defense, but he made them good on offense, and his record speaks for itself. Everywhere he's been successful. I think he's very confident in what he does and his organizational methods, and I think it takes that in the situation he's in. Like in the situation he's in, you got to be pretty confident in your own skin to go in there and do things your way, especially with the record they've had. And it seems like he's done that without any issue or problem. I think the smartest thing he's done is he hadn't changed everything. Like, offensively, they have some similarities because they have the same quarterback. And we'll probably see a lot more wrinkles that they haven't shown. But for the most part, they've kept some of the staples that they had last year because it probably makes the quarterback comfortable.
What have you seen from your tight ends just through 3 games this year?
Yeah, we got good depth in that position. Oscar's been a little in and out, beat up, but he's practicing now and back. Lawson obviously went through the injuries last year. Ben has come and given us a really big body type that can make some plays, and the 2 young guys are getting better. So those guys have filled in nicely, and we haven't asked them to do a lot, but they're going to have to continue to play and get better to get us where we want to go offensively.
Yeah, you mentioned being disciplined with eyes in the secondary. How much of a benefit is it to have guys like Malachi and Dan as safety who obviously have played a lot of football, but have also played against Jalen Milroe before?
Well, I mean, it helps, but Jalen Milroe's played against them too, and we got some guys in the secondary that haven't played against him. So it takes great discipline against this guy, but it also takes discipline rush. It takes a defined plan. It takes 11 people, we call it rush and coverage, working together, and you have to team up against this guy. It's not going to be one guy that stops him. It has to be an 11-person plan that tries to control him.
Yeah, you mentioned Dan, and he's gone against Kalen 3 times. Did you reach out to Dan at all about what it's like going against a Kalen DeBoer coach team and how that might help you prepare for this game?
Yeah, I mean, we do that with everybody that plays against him. We do it with Dan too, but I mean, he didn't have the most success either. So, I mean, he's had some tough games and some tough decisions against him, and has a lot of respect for him, just like we do. But we did a lot of that in the offseason. I mean, you talk to people about your future opponents and share ideas and like opponents.
Yeah, Washington's program coming up here reminded me of Don James writing his pregame speeches on Thursday. When do you sit down and start to collect your thoughts on what you might say to your team before the game?
Yeah, don't usually write much down. Just kind of think of things during the week, things that we did well, things that you can be really positive about, and reassure them that they've checked that box. And that list, grows the closer we get to the game, and my thoughts grow a little more the night before. But it's not like a set time where I sit down and do anything.
Coach, obligatory injury update question, kind of what Warren, George, and Michael were able to do 2 days this week.
Yeah, Warren's continued to practice, taking his rep load. Michael's been able to do a little bit. I still don't know the timeline on Michael. He's looked good, running and taking some reps, some light reps, some rush reps, some stuff he did today. It's his first day really getting out there and doing some things. But I haven't talked to Ron, so I don't only watch the tape and be able to see that. Jordan's still pushing through. Is that it? Feel good about Warren. Michael's going to be close, and Jordan is still trying to get into practice.
Yeah, with a guy like Jalen Walker who's able to do so much with a game like this, how do you go about getting the most out of him?
Well, we have different roles for Jalen. He's very bright. He's ability to play stack backer. He can play outside backer. He can cover people. He's a good athlete. And how do you get the most out of him? You play him. And you have different roles for him. So we've got different packages for him.
Any more questions for Coach Smart? All right, thank you.